So it's two for the price of one day at Kit Guru. Today I'm looking at two Silverstone cases. This video is kind of a follow-up on the Seta Q1 that I reviewed around about this time last year. That was a low noise orientated case. I wasn't too impressed with that, but since then Silverstone has come out with two more Seta cases. So there's the H1 on the end, which is a high airflow chassis, and then the D1, which is designed for storage and optical drives. Both designed around the same chassis structure, but they're both very different cases. So what I'm going to do is take a look at both, run down some of the features and specifications quickly, pick one, build a system inside, and then take a look at the thermals.
Iron Wolf Pro. Tough, ready, scalable.
So both the Seta H1, which is the high airflow one on the end, and the D1 are available now, both launched now. The H1's been around for a while, the D1 is the more recent of the two. The H1 you can pick up from places like scan.co.uk, priced at around £150. The D1 I've not been able to find available anywhere in the UK at the moment. The only place I could find it was on Amazon US via Amazon UK. Price was very high on there, but the actual official price of the D1 is $173 in the US or 165 euros. So that should translate or convert to around about £150 or £155 in the UK, which is similar to the H1. So a quick rundown on both the case features. So we'll start with the D1. You can see it has got a mesh front panel, so it should have some airflow to the front, but also you can see there are 4 spaces for optical drives at the top. Not something we see that often on this channel, cases with optical drives these days, but still some people do use optical drives and they are useful. You'll notice that the D1, it doesn't have any tempered glass or anything like that, so it's not a gaming orientated case where you're going to be showing off your hardware. It is more of a functional case for storage and optical drives. It has a modular front design, so behind this front panel you can do various things with the front of the case. You can install either 6 hard drives or a front 240mm radiator and 2 optical drives, a top 240mm radiator, 4 front optical drives and 3 front hard drives, a top 240mm radiator, 2 front optical drives and 4 hard drives, or a top 240mm radiator and 6 hard drives. Alternatively, you can have a top 360mm radiator with 2 optical drives and 3 hard drives, or a top 360mm radiator and 5 hard drives down the front. With everything removed from the front completely, you can fit up to a 360mm radiator in the front using the front radiator bracket that comes with the case. Alternatively, you can fit in the top either 320mm or 340mm fans, and again, if you use the radiator bracket, you can fit 320 or 340mm fans in the front. If you don't fit that radiator bracket, you can only fit either 220 or 240mm fans in the front of the case. At the back of the case, you can fit a single 120 or 140mm fan. The case does come with some fans pre-installed, so there is 2 pre-installed fans at the front and 1 at the back. It also supports motherboards up to eATX form factor, so that includes obviously eATX, ATX, micro ATX, mini ITX. Internally, you can fit graphics cards up to 394mm long, so that sounds like ample space for even the latest NVIDIA 40 series and AMD 7000 series cards. You can also fit tall air coolers inside the D1 up to 180mm tall, so I don't think I can think of any air coolers that wouldn't fit in here, so it's going to be good for air cooling as well. There's also 2 additional 2.5 and 3.5 inch drive bays below the power supply shroud, and down the back of the case you've got 7 PCIe slots horizontally plus 2 vertical PCIe slots. And then the H1, which is the high airflow chassis on the end. Internally it looks very similar to the D1, you've just not got all those optical drive bays. This is more focused towards gaming builds and a more open system. Tempered glass side panel and a completely full mesh front panel for high airflow. There's also some RGB lighting effects on that front panel. In terms of front panel connectivity on the H1, you have two USB 3 Type A ports, a single USB Type C port, and then a single combined 3.5mm audio jack. Power button is up there on the top as well, and it is on the top of the case rather than front. On the D1, you have the same front I/O, but it is on the front panel rather than the top. In terms of cooling support for the H1, you can fit up to 320 or 340mm fans in the front. Alternatively, you can fit up to a 360mm radiator there, so that also includes a 280, 240 or a 120. Same at the top, you can fit up to 320mm or 340mm fans, or up to a 360mm radiator. And then at the back of the H1, again, you can fit either a 120 or a 140mm fan. Supported hardware is basically the same as the D1, so motherboards up to E80X form factor, graphics cards up to a maximum length of 394mm, CPU coolers up to 182mm tall, and power supplies up to 250mm long. And again, in the H1, you've got 7 PCIe expansion slots at the back horizontally, plus 2 vertical mounts, and also 2 2.5 and 3.5 inch drive bays under the power supply shroud. In terms of accessories, with both cases you get an NVIDIA 30 series graphics card support bracket, so this screws onto the chassis and then fixes to the back of the graphics card as a kind of an anti-sag bracket. With the D1 you also get a bag with some extra cable grommets and cut out covers as well for cables. Also with the D1 in another box you get an extra optical drive bay and some more 3.5 inch drive bays which can be populated down the front of the system. So I've got rid of the D1 for now at least. It does look like a good case if you are interested in using optical drives and you need a lot of 3.5 inch storage, but for me I want to build the system inside the H1. I was, like I say, a little disappointed with the thermals of the Q1, so I want to see how the H1 deals with a high-end gaming system under load and what the thermals are going to be like. So I've chosen the H1 for the build. For the specification of the hardware, so it's a AMD build with a Gigabyte X670 Aorus Elite AX motherboard. CPU is an AMD Ryzen 9 7900X, so that's the 12 core 24 thread CPU. For the graphics card, it's a Gigabyte RX 7900 XT, not XTX, just the XT. This is the gaming OC version. In terms of memory, I'll be using 32 gigabytes of Kingston Fury Beast. This is DDR5 6000 mega transfers per second, and it's AMD Expo compatible. Storage, I'll be using just a single M.2 NVMe drive. It's a WD Black SN850, 2 terabytes, PCIe Gen 4 NVMe M.2 SSD. Cooling the CPU will be the EK Nucleus AIO CR360 Lux DRGB. I've used this quite a lot on the channel. Very good CPU cooler that. I've also got a couple of these Silverstone Shark Force 160 ARGB fans. These are the custom 160mm fans that use 140mm mounts. There are a couple of Shark Force 160s in the front of that case that come with the case, but they're not the RGB versions. Might swap those out for the RGB ones, see what they look like. To power the system, I'll be using this Silverstone Decathlon Series 1000 watt. It's the DA1000R Gold, so 80 plus gold rated. Fully modular, ATX 3.0 with native 12 volt high power connections. Interesting to use that. And that is pretty much it. So I'll get on with building the system, watch the time lapse, see how this is built, and then we'll come back, do a quick thermal test, see what the case is like. So as you can see, the system's built inside the Seta H1, it's up and running, everything's working as it should be. For the most part, it was quite an easy build inside this case. You've got plenty of space in the places you need it, like up at the top between the AIO and the motherboard. Plenty of space there, you can still connect cables up and things like that to the motherboard when you've got your AIO installed. Should be a good case to run push-pull fan configuration. You shouldn't run into any problems with things like the fans or radiators contacting with anything on the motherboard. And everything just goes together well. Alignment of things like the motherboard standoffs, the cutouts for the PCIe slots, stuff like that, all seem to be lined up and everything fitted into the case very easily. The only couple of issues I had with the build, one was the 160mm fans were too big to be able to have those installed and the AIO at the top. So because the 160mm fans are as wide as they are, you can only install them on the inside of the fan bracket. So what I did is I actually swapped those out for some Fantex D30 120s, and these are the regular ones, so they're running in the forward direction, so sucking air into the case. They fit on the outside of the fan bracket, so they're closer to the front panel, which gives you more space inside. I was then able to install the EK AIO up at the top. That EK AIO is a bit longer than some others, so that probably is why we ran into that problem, but something to consider when using this case. If you want to install a top AIO, just got to make sure you've got the dimensions between the fans and the back of the case to fit the radiator in. Those Fantex fans look really nice as well. The RGB lighting effects on those look really good, and they are 30mm thick, which is a good thing to know, that you can fit 30mm thick fans in the front of this case at the front of the fan bracket, and it still clears the front panel, so that's a good thing to see. Another thing that I don't think really works very well in this case is those cable management panels that run down the side of the motherboard tray. Cables that come in from the side to the motherboard, they work well with those and they cover those up. You're able to slide the cable management panels right up and cover those up, but like the 24 pin that's coming out in the like a forward direction, you can't push the cable management panels over that and cover those up very well, so they're out of line with each other. They are also used to mount 2.5-inch SSD drives and to mount pump res combos, which I think they'll be more useful using those in that situation, especially the pump res combo, it'll be good to be able to mount it up on that side there. But again, if you have a longer GPU, you might struggle to mount a pump res combo there. Also with this 7900 XT, it's quite a long card, and it covers one of those panels at the bottom, so if you want to mount a 2.5-inch SSD there, there's no space between the graphics card and the panel to mount the SSD, so maybe it's better probably just taking those out. But they did cover some of the cables up at the bottom, but then again, so did the graphics card as well, so a bit pointless. But other than that, it's not a bad case to use at all. I'm happy with build quality, the way that everything went together, the space in the case seems pretty good. It's not a bad case. I'm not sure it is worth £150, maybe with those 160mm fans bumps the price up a bit, but it is a decent case. Mesh on the front panel, so airflow should be all right. We'll check that out in a minute. I am running some thermal tests, just currently running my combined stress test, so 3D Mark TimeSpy Extreme is running simultaneously with Cinebench R23. That has been running now for about 5 or 10 minutes. I'm going to stick the side panel back on the case, come back to that in about 20 minutes and take a look at the thermals. So case side panel's back on. This stress test has been running now for about 20 minutes in total, and you can see the CPU temperatures around or just shy of 90 degrees, which is about right for the 7900X. I have set up a custom fan curve on this. The fans stay at low RPM until the CPU temperature reaches 80 degrees, and then they ramp up steadily, and currently the fans are running at about 2000 RPM, so they are up to almost their maximum RPM. But as I say, CPU temperature is about 90 degrees, which is about what we'd expect for this 7900X. It's pretty warm in this test room today, just under 23 degrees ambient temperature, so pretty happy with that, although 90 degrees is pretty high compared to what we're used to, but with these CPUs these days, that is what you come to expect. GPU temperature is looking really good. That's around 60 degrees, so airflow through the front of the case to the GPU seems to be pretty good in the Seta H1, a lot better than it was in the Seta Q1, so this is more like the case you want to be using with a gaming system rather than the Q1. maybe even the D1 as well. I think the H1 is suited to gaming builds with bigger graphics cards, and overall it's a nice looking case. I quite like it. It's not a bad front on the case with the mesh and the RGB lighting effects, although you can see some of like the inner framework through the mesh, which looks a bit out of place. But other than that, overall it's not a bad case, one that I might consider using in the future. Let me know what you think of it. So thanks for watching this Silverstone Seta H1 build video. Let me know what you think of the case in the comment section. If you've enjoyed watching the video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you've not already done so. If you enjoy what we do here at Kit Guru and want to help support us, you can always head over to the store, pick up some merch, or even subscribe to our Patreon. And as always, if you want to catch up on all the in-depth technical reviews, head over to the website.